call to order the Village of Ashcroft Council meeting for Monday, 22nd of April, 2024. Mayor and Council wish to acknowledge that the meeting today is being held within the traditional territory of the Inklikatmin people. We have one addition to the agenda under new business. Are there any other additions to deletions from the agenda? All right. Motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Councillor Clement, thank you. Councillor Davenport, second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. None opposed. That is carried. We have the minutes of the regular meeting of council that was held on Monday, April the 8th. Councillor Davenport?
The minutes of the regular meeting of council held Monday, April 8th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Councillor Lambert, are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none on the question, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. Yes, it's just this much fun at the TNRD as well. We have the minutes of the community forum held on Monday, April the 8th.
I will move that the minutes of the community forum held Monday, April 8th, 2024 be adopted as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Clement. Second. Councillor Anstead, thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions? All those in favor?
Whoops.
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed, if any? That is carried. No delegations this evening, so we move swiftly along to item 4, public input. All eyes on the public. Mr. Tedford, no? Anything on Facebook, Leith? No? Okay, thank you. All right, we move on to item 5.1. We have the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 867, 2024. We have 3 separate motions.
I will move that the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 867, 2024 be introduced and read a first time by title only.
Thank you, Councillor Clement. Second. Councillor Davenport. Are there any questions or comments on the 5-year financial plan bylaw? No? All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. No one opposed? No, that is carried. We have a second motion. I'll move that the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 867, 2024 be read a second time. Councillor Clement seconds that. Thank you very much. Discussion. Call the question. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. And third time. Councillor Davenport.
I'll move that the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 867 be read for a third time.
Thank you kindly. Second by
I'll second.
Councillor Lambert. Thank you. Any discussion? On the motion, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That is carried. Item 5.2, tax rates bylaw number 868, 2024. Another set of 3 recommendations. Councillor Clement.
I move that the tax rate bylaw number 868 be introduced and read a first time by title only.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Councillor Davenport. Discussion. No? All right. And so we are looking at a 3.5%. Thank you.
That's right, Your Worship, 3.5% and moving forward with that, for our portion.
And of course, we have no control over any of the other taxing authorities. All right. On the question, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. Second recommendation. Councillor Lambert.
I move that the tax rates bylaw number 868 be read a second time.
Thank you. Second. Councillor Clement. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. And the third one. Councillor Davenport.
I move that tax rate bylaw number 868 be read for a third time.
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
Councillor Lambert, discussion. All right, all those in favor?
Oops.
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That is carried. Item 5.3, CAO Report Fees and Charges Bylaw Number 869. This is to request approval to align fees and charges for cemetery services and development services so that they are closer to the actual costs for said services. And another set of three. Good things come in threes.
Yes.
Councillor Davenport.
I move that the Village of Ashcroft fees and charges bylaw 869 be introduced and read for first time by title only.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Lambert. Any discussion on this? Thank you for doing the work to align the what we charge with more in line with what it actually costs. And thank you also for making the point that we are not out to make a profit. We just are trying to cover the costs to reduce the burden on the taxpayer. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? Carried. Second one. Councillor Clement.
I will move that the Village of Ashcroft fees and charges bylaw number 869 be read a second time.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Councillor Lambert. Discussion?
I do just have a question.
Question?
So there are still a few where the cost is still well below what it actually costs us. Is there incremental plans over the next years to increase it to the actual cost?
The ones, are we,
So for instance, the opening and closing for burials and cremated remains and the full-size grave, although those ones are actual. So it's just those two, the opening and closing.
yeah, and the highest cost that it can cost us is noted on the side. Not all of them. It really depends on the digging conditions, of
Okay.
how long it is. So we felt this was fair because, you know, Public Works is on staff doing things anyway,
Okay.
so we're just, it was there just as a reference so that you could see what the actual cost could be.
So it's a range more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? On the motion, all those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed, if any? That is carried. And third time's a charm. Councillor Lambert.
I move that the Village of Ashcroft fees and charges bylaw number 869 be read a third time.
Thank you. Second by Councillor Davenport. Discussion. All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That is carried. Item 6.1, we have CAO report on communities in bloom, an update on the 2024 season, and we do have a couple of options here. What would council like to do? Anyone care to make a motion?
I will move that the Village of Ashcroft supports the Communities in Bloom ongoing efforts for 2025 and onward to plant the flower beds at the old fire hall until the remaining funds are spent, with a caveat that an annual expense report be submitted to the village.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Davenport, discussion. Councillor Lambert.
I'm just curious how much the balance of the funds would be.
They have $7,000-ish in their account at the moment. And the bulk of that is from the village, from the grant and aid that they get for their planting every year. Yeah,
And that does not take into account the cost of the plants for this year?
that's correct,
Okay. Thank you.
which have been ordered and will be purchased from that.
Do we know if has there been any discussion around another group to take over the planting of the barrels?
Not at this time.
Councillor Lambert.
That's quite a bit of money, so I'm wondering if every year we gave them enough money to plant, or whoever's gonna plant, because $7,000, that's, I mean, I don't buy a lot of plants, so I might be out of line, but just seems like a lot, and I think we could maybe spend it elsewhere. And then just like I say, whoever's gonna end up planting the planters, we could just give them money, Yogi, for the plants every year.
Well, there was 1 year, 2 years in COVID where we did not give them the funding because they were not active during the pandemic. And they had the funds because they were trying to save up money to do a big project around the water
Right.
feature at the park. And then that was put on hold during the pandemic. And they had enough money in the bank, just please do not depend totally on my faulty memory, but they had enough money in the bank to still fund the planting of the flower barrels. All their other activities had stopped. So presumably, if the $7,000 they've got will be depleted, of course, when they've purchased the flowers this year. And I think that if another group were to step forward, then we could look at giving them the funding to do the barrel planting rather than the money that goes to Communities in Bloom. Councillor Clement?
So 2 questions. Do we know roughly how much they do spend?
Yeah.
Like how much are they spending of that $7,000 this year to plant the planters?
I'm not
Not off the top of your
100%,
head?
not off the top of my head.
Okay. And-
Ballpark, I would say probably between 2,000 and 2,500.
Okay, yeah,
And then it's dependent on whether they need to top up with soils and those kinds of
yeah.
things, so.
okay. And then 2, to Councillor Lambert, I think from an accounting standpoint, it's a heck of a lot easier to just let them keep the money and spend it than it is to ask them to give it back and then give it back to them every year. We've already given it to them, we've already accounted for it. So as long as we're saying you can only spend this money on X, from an accounting standpoint, and I don't know, CFO might,
Unfortunately, from the Clement, I'll have to disagree with that.
Okay.
In terms of just the, yes,
Yeah.
easier, but I'd rather have it in our bank
Okay.
accounts in case, because it becomes a risk, right? If
Yeah, okay.
The organization's disbanded and
Yeah.
there's money and who's
yeah,
signing off, who's
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
the controls there are. So if it comes back, we can do, and then they can buy and just send us the invoice
Right.
directly.
okay,
And we'll pay for things directly and the labor would be,
Okay.
ideally, that would, how I would ideally want the funds back in
Yeah.
our account. And we can put it aside in a reserve or something for another community or just remember, but
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
yeah, okay.
So do you want to proceed with the motion that you made? Do you want to withdraw the motion, or do you want us just to vote on it?
Go ahead and vote on it. I just made a motion to talk
Get
about
the
it.
discussion, okay. So, well, any more discussion?
Your worship,
Councillor Anstead?
We are in discussion on this?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I don't feel that, I think we need some more information coming from the Communities in Bloom side. I don't feel we've had very many reports from them lately, on what's happening with the group and that. I think we need a little bit more, spill behind the story on what's going on.
Okay.
Can I?
And I don't know if you heard, we do have a motion on the floor that we leave the balance of the money with them that they already have. CFO Bala has explained that from an accounting standpoint or a finance standpoint, it's cleaner if they return the money to us and we keep it in reserve to be spent as needed by either Communities in Bloom or another group for the purpose of, say, planting the planters. So right now, the motion on the floor does not do that. So we are going to go to the vote on it. If that motion is defeated, then it does raise the possibility that we can move the other recommendation, which is that they return the money to us.
Yeah.
Thank you, I wasn't clear on that. I've been having a hard time hearing the conversations.
That's okay. The story so far.
Yeah.
So
The
any other
CEO had it.
CEO, Dick?
Yeah, if I may, I can provide a little bit more background. So Andrea Walker came to meet with me, and for the last few years, they've struggled with volunteers. And she said CIB is non-existent. They've got a group of volunteers that are willing to do the planting for this year and last year. They haven't received their grant in aid for 3 years, I believe now. And a lot of the money that's been used to be planting is monies that they had saved for things like they wanted to buy some benches, and they'd had some dollars allocated that they'd hoped to save up for some shade sales at the pool. So there was different things that the group was fundraising for, but that money has been reabsorbed into the plantings for the past few years. And because they don't have the volunteer base and the group is more or less folding, that's why she came and approached us and said, this is the last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would like to have done with this money. And she was willing to do both, either keep it and continue to plant at the old fire hall because that was her passion project, or return it to the village and then the village allocate a budget for it. The hope was she was hoping that perhaps the business owners that have the desert planters in front of their businesses would plant them themselves, and it wouldn't become an expense for the village anymore, and we would just plant our own on our properties. And then we could reevaluate what that looks like. Are businesses planting them? If not, do we move those desert planters elsewhere, or do we just put them into storage, or do we look at liquidating them? There's just options to consider down the road.
Would one option be, if the money does get returned to the village, not only could the village use it to purchase plants for our own planters on village property, but that if a business owner, for example, because I'm thinking, say, of Quality Glass, which has a number of planters out front, if they were to bring receipts for plants, they went down to Desert Hills or Horstings or wherever and bought plants, would they be able to come and get reimbursed from the village? Or is that going to be too much of a headache? I mean, I can see some businesses saying, sure, I'll continue to buy 3 dozen marigolds or whatever, and I can see others just not bothering. CFO Ballard.
Your worship, the process of it is not a challenge. It's more we're going against the community charter for aid right to a business, and that's where the issue, it becomes a issue. We cannot be seen as
Right.
Yes.
aid. So if it runs through a non-profit like CIB or a group, that's fine. But if there is no group, a volunteer doing work, we can reimburse them, no problem. But a business doing the same sort of work, it becomes a iffy.
Right.
Iffy
Okay.
scenario.
Councillor Davenport.
It says in the letter, that the flowers have been ordered, and there are sufficient funds in the CIB account. Is that the funds you were talking about, that they've raised on their own, right?
No. They're leftovers, grant and aid funds that have been given to them. Perhaps they've done fundraising outside of that over the years, but the budgets that were previously presented to us always showed the grant and aid coming in, the previous balance that was unspent, and then they would put it into reserves for a specific project.
I think about the only fundraising needed was the plant sale.
Yeah.
The annual, which should be coming up soon, actually.
They're
I
not going
guess.
to do it
They're not going to do it.
because
They're not
they
doing
don't
it?
exist anymore.
Well, they do it this year, technically, sort of.
I think they just have volunteers for planting this year.
Oh, okay.
It's clear that we need a service group, like a
To step
society,
in.
take
To step
this
in.
Over.
And it's,
Could it be something that is based from the school, getting the school kids?
That's a fantastic idea.
I mean,
Getting
I thought
kids
the grad kids, or any of the kids, I mean, get them. And while we still have the knowledge from the CIB people about, like, when do you have to order the plants? Who do you talk to at Desert Hills? How many do you have to order? When do you have to put your order in by? When do you have to start planting? Who contacts the fire department to see about going and fluffing all the beds and putting water in them? But yeah, I mean, my thought was the grad students, but I mean, any kids, as long as they've got adult supervision.
Yeah. My other suggestion would be the cadets. That might be something that,
Or 4-H.
or 4-H actually would even be a better fit. But,
Oh, are you sure?
Councillor Lambert and then CAO Dick.
I'm thinking that we should ask for the money back, put it in a special little fund, and then that gives us some time to find out if somebody's going to step forward or not, because we really don't know at this time, right?
No. Dare we call it seed money?
Oh,
So I'll sing myself out after the meeting. Sorry, someone had to say it.
that was
CAO
well
Dick.
done.
I was just going to say that we could after the season is done, Andrea has said that she would provide us all of the information that you were talking about,
Right.
and give us a report of what to order, when to order, all of those things, budget. And but we could put out send out letters to the service groups, to the grads,
right.
and say, hey, here's an opportunity to do some community work. It will require some commitment of, maybe, I don't know how many hours, and it's usually an evening of planting that they do it. I don't know, and see if anybody steps up.
Yeah.
And when are they usually planted? I know we're
Pretty soon.
Pretty soon, within
fighting with
first,
late winter, but,
around the third week of May, second week of May usually.
right. So
In
that's
time for
fine.
Mother's Day, isn't it? Do they plant in time for Mother's Day? I'm not sure.
Maybe, maybe
I think it
not.
depends. I mean, rule of thumb is Victoria Day for planting your,
Yeah.
your,
Yeah.
your annuals, but it just depends on what the weather's gonna
Yeah.
be like. If it warms up substantially, they'll probably come out and do it middle of May. Excuse me. Any further discussion? I think we definitely do need to publicize and look for service groups, and I like the idea of a targeted letter to all the service organizations, including the schools, including 4-H, and say, and it doesn't just have to be like the 4-H club, it could be a number of people
Oh,
from
yeah,
different groups
definitely.
Yeah.
coming together. I mean, think of the great partnership between Lions and Rotary up at the Chinese Cemetery. You know, that was fantastic.
And I think something else as well is that just because it's been planted the way it's been planted for years and years doesn't mean that's what has to be planted in them either. So it's an opportunity for new groups to liven
their
things up a
ideas.
little or change up.
I think Andrea, what she had said, she would give us a list of plants that thrived in the climate that we have, and what worked well, what didn't, the things that they've tried that didn't survive, and versus the ones that did. Like last year, the sun patience did really, really well. So it's just, and she'll give us that knowledge, and
Yep.
whoever takes it over can take it or leave it.
Yeah, the Calabracos did really nicely last year. I mean, I liked them because they look like little petunias, but petunias, but you don't have to deadhead them all the time. The geraniums were getting a little, they get really leggy towards the end. Marigolds do super well here, but kind of restricted color palette.
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Davenport.
Just one more thing I wanted to acknowledge the efforts of CIB over the years. that
Yes.
they've done.
They have done a
It's,
lot.
Every organization has its journey, and this one seems to be coming to a close. So thank you.
No, I mean, they put Ashcroft on the map in so many
Yes,
ways, quite
definitely.
literally,
Yeah.
you know, with their hard work. And I know the village got a lot of valuable information from the reports that were given by the Communities in Bloom judges after they visited the community. So thank you very much. And I'm happy that they're prepared to turn over all their things and work with possibly a new group of people to continue this. All right, so we do have a motion on the floor, which is that we let Communities in Bloom keep the funding that they already have. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I can't hear anything.
Are you in favor of the motion to let them keep the money, or are you opposed?
I didn't hear any of the conversations
Oh.
you guys had at all.
Oh, okay.
That's weird.
It's loud when Yogi's there, but when.
It's going to your
everybody else-
computer.
I can't hear anything.
It's going
Oh,
through
I
your
see.
computer.
So,
Yogi's got the wrong mic on.
yeah, it's switched mic. Okay, let's see. Okay, you hear us better now.
Can you hear now?
Oh, you're much better now.
Okay. So,
Since the meeting is nearly over, it's a good time for you to hear things.
so basically, Jenna, we're at the point where the motion that is on the floor is to let Communities in Bloom keep the money. As I said, CFO Bala has explained it from a financial perspective. It's cleaner to have us have the money back and put it into a special fund and then allocate it as groups come forward or people come forward. So in order for that to happen, we would have to defeat the motion that's on the floor and then put forward a new motion. So I've just called the question on the motion that we leave the funds with Communities in Bloom. So all those in favor?
I'm opposed.
Okay, thank you. All those opposed? All right, the motion is defeated.
I'll make a new motion then, that the Village of Ashcroft make a request to the Ashcroft Communities in Bloom Society to return the balance of funds remaining in the CIB account to the village at the end of the 2024 season.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert seconds that. Any discussion on this? All right, all those in favor? Are you in favor of this one, Councillor Anstead?
Yes,
Oh,
sorry, my mouse
nope.
is not working.
That's okay. Anyone opposed? That is carried. Item 6.2, Economic Development and Tourism Coordinator Report Rebranding Initiative. We do have a recommendation.
Go ahead, Doreen. You know you want to.
No, I don't.
Oh!
No, I will. All right, I move that council tasks the Economic Development and Tourism Working Group to execute the branding exercise outlined in the 2024-2026 strategic plan for the Village of Ashcroft.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Clement. Discussion. Councillor Lambert, don't be afraid to put your hand up. That's literally why you're here.
Seems like I'm always the one asking. I won't get into it too much. I just really hope that the community is going to be involved in this to a certain point as to what the brand should be. I don't think it should just be up to council. I really feel strongly on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really, I mean, this is something, every local government thing I've been to for 9 years now, we always come back to how do we let people know about things like that. On Friday of last week, the Friday before the parade, Yoris Eckering from Rotary was posting on Facebook about can't wait for the parade tomorrow, and people were going, oh,
I
what
saw
parade?
that. I saw that. I couldn't believe it.
And it makes me shake my head because, and I think we need to put it on our website, we need to put it on our Facebook page and other Facebook pages, we need to put posters around
And our
town.
sign, hopefully.
We need to put something on Voyant Alert.
Mail
We need to
drop.
put something in the paper. We need to put a mail drop. And and the LED sign. And
Yeah.
I literally cannot think of any other ways to get the information out there because, and I'm sorry this is going to sound harsh, but there's only so much hand-holding we can do.
I understand
And
that.
people need to take responsibility. If they want to find out what's going on in their community, they cannot sit back and expect someone to come to their door and read it out to them. So if we pull out all the stops and use every channel we have available, and I think I just counted off 7, we've done what we can. Councillor Clement and then Councillor Lambert.
I think the most important thing as well is not only having, especially for this, is not only having one time for input.
Yes.
Because you're not going to hit everybody. But if we have 3, hopefully we can hit, people one of those times they're available to participate or they're able to do the survey that we do online or
We do
whatever,
one weekday
right?
morning,
So,
one
yeah.
weekday afternoon, and one weekday evening.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all in the same week, because
Yeah.
then people will say, well, I was away that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drag them out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Lambert.
The other thing, and this goes back to when wellness became the brand, I have to say, I truly didn't know what branding was. I grew up on a farm, so you know what I thought brand was. I truly had no idea. I think maybe people know a bit more now, but I think that has to be explained as well.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to be hiring a consultant to do this work?
I believe that's the plan. When we embarked on this journey a while back, when council first started to have conversations, the lady that is doing the rebrand or the website update does branding. So Margaret reached out to her to see what she would charge, which is what we based our budget process on. So we have a little bit of grant funding towards it, but it would certainly be led by a graphic designer.
and, sorry, I see Councillor Lambert and Councillor Davenport. Do we have any idea of A, the cost, and B, what timeline we're looking at?
The timeline needs to be super fast because we need to get the marketing initiatives going. So this lady is more than willing to come here. She's located in Nelson. She's willing to come to Ashcroft. I don't know that she'll be here 3 times for 3 different weeks for 3 different meetings, but we will for sure have her at least one of those meetings. And then we can take on the process ourselves for the remainder. Or maybe we just have a big info session, and whatever it looks like, that'll be up to the working group to decide if that's council's direction. Cost-wise, it can be, branding can be anywhere as expensive as you want it to be. It could be $10,000, it could be $100,000. It really depends on how much of the work we do ourselves and the direction that and how clear we are. If we keep changing our minds, then it's gonna escalate. But if we have a clear vision that we land on as a community and as a council, and that's what you present to the graphic designer, it'll come together quickly and it'll be affordable.
Councillor Lambert.
And if she can't make it down for the meetings, perhaps she could Zoom.
Yep, perhaps.
And then, I mean, just,
I'll run the Zoom meeting.
However, we don't have Wi-Fi at the hall.
oh.
That never stops me.
Is that something that we're, just on a side note, is that something that we're looking at? Because that, I'm seeing that increasingly as an impediment. I know it was identified as an impediment in Cache Creek to holding, like, especially when you have outside agencies like
Yes.
another government agency coming in and they want to hold a meeting and they want to do it at the community hall. Not having Wi-Fi is a drawback.
We can get it your wish, that's not a problem. If you feel it's a, it's a monthly cost to get the TELUS line to the place.
I think we need to enter the 21st century in that and have it available at least at the facility. How much we're going to get, or do at least look at how much we think we might use it and what the cost is going to be. Because, if we needed to use it, for example, for an EOC, because maybe this wasn't large enough and we needed to spill it down the hallway, we need Wi-Fi. So anyway, that is a sidebar there. Okay, so are we looking at having these, the in-person sessions starting in May? I mean, because, really, I think practically they need to be finished by the middle of June.
I think
Because otherwise people are now in summer mode and they're off not thinking about branding. Councillor Davenport? CEO Dick and then Councillor Davenport.
I think certainly that can be a direction council gives to the working group that's going to be running it, but Margaret very much wants to and needs to get this done before the summer.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Davenport?
My question or my observation is that I think the process of doing this has to be very solid in our presentation, meaning you get a bunch of people in a room that want different things. That takes so much time, and this, she's a graphic artist, but is her background in marketing? Okay, that's good. So I guess those are just that I would like to see a very solid invitation to our community, but a very, designed in a way that minds can be made up in a very fluid way, or very quick way to get in line with deadlines and so on. And part of that from last time is that 3 meetings is great, but there could be discussion that is needed to be, I don't know what I'm saying here, I have a feeling that there's gonna be a lot of people with a lot of ideas, and that really kind of is hard sometimes when you're trying to nail something with a deadline.
Yes, and I think we need to make it clear that if we get across the course of 3 meetings, 27 different suggestions for what the Ashcroft brand should be, only about 3 to 5 are going to be given serious consideration,
Right.
because because otherwise, like you say, we're going to be here till
Yeah.
2 years from now, trying to figure it out. And I think it will become very clear very quickly where people's preference lies.
I hope so.
And
See
If
how
I
I did?
may, ultimately, it will be the council's decision. It will not be the community's.
No, but we can still have heard from them,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because some of the meetings weren't very welcoming to those of us who were opposed to it. I was told at one meeting I wasn't allowed to ask questions. I don't want to
That's-
see that happen.
That won't be how this operates. That's,
Yeah.
no.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? So we do have a motion. Do we need to amend the motion to task the Economic Development and Tourism Working Group to execute the branding exercise outlined, starting as, as quickly as possible, or is that going to be taken as read?
I think, if I may, I think Margaret's next steps will be to bring a timeline to you, and she will lay it all out, and
Right.
I'll just let her know that you want the public input piece completed before summer vacation times, and her timeline will reflect that. So I think the motion can probably.
And then the other thing too, of course, in summertime, once we get to the end of June, we're only having 2 meetings in July and August, and people are on holiday, so I mean, they're
Yeah.
not going to be paying attention. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. All right, any further discussion? On the motion then, all those in favor? Opposed, if any?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Opposed, if any? That is carried. All right, we move on to item 7.1. We have an action item regarding the Japanese mural in the Heritage Park.
Your wish,
CFO Bala?
are we bringing forward financial statements to this meeting?
New business. Oh,
Uh,
yeah, there's a place for motions released from.
From closed meeting, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, that's right at the end.
It's right at the end.
So, does anyone have any thoughts on the repair of the Japanese mural? Councillor Lambert?
I have no, I don't have any ideas, but I'm thinking maybe we should speak to Joe Petty. She was involved with, big time with BIFCA, and she might be able to direct us or give us ideas.
I was thinking of a motion to approach local artists in the Ashcroft community to discuss a plan to repair the BIFCA mural, or the Japanese mural. And then they could give us what would be involved, because none of us are artists.
No.
Looking around quickly to make sure I'm not offending anyone. None of us are artists, and they would, until we know what is involved, then we have no idea what the cost might be. Councillor Lambert?
And perhaps, this is just came to me now, perhaps we could extend an invitation to any artists in BIFCA that would perhaps like to come over and help repair it.
I think the first step is to find out what we're facing, like how badly. I know that the artist was here in 2012, and then he was here again not to do work. He was here to do work on the mural in 2012, and then he was back again at the unveiling of the mosaic that's on the side of the TNRD, the library building. I don't think he did any work on it at that time. So I don't, that's 12 years ago. I don't know what condition it's in now. So the motion is to approach local artists to ask them for, I guess, advice on restoring the Japanese mural.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any more discussion? On the question then, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. Bonaparte Watershed Stewardship Society request for letter of support. They have made it to stage 2 of their funding application, which involves beaver dams on the Bonaparte watershed. This is time sensitive. I believe the application for the stage 2 grant funding has to go in on the 24th, so 2 days from now. The TNRD did pass a letter of support at their meeting on Thursday. Councillor Anstead?
I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter of support to the Bonaparte Watershed Stewardship Society in their endeavors and what they're trying to achieve there.
Perfect, thank you very much. Seconder?
I'll
Councillor
second.
Councillor Clement? Any discussion? Nope. All right, on the motion, all those in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Opposed, if any? Carried. We have a number of information items. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of these? No. We move on to unfinished business. We have the task manager / motion tracker. Any comments on this? Thank you, as always. There we go. Councillor Lambert?
I have a question, but it's not on here anymore. I'm wondering what's happening with our cannabis bylaw.
It's a part of the zoning. Cannabis gets included, it has to be included in your zoning bylaw. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
should have jumped in without. So when and council has made the zoning a priority, the OCP and zoning review and updates, so it'll be included in that process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other
That is
questions or
a drawing.
comments on the task manager? All right, we move on to new business. We do have, you do have on your desks, and Councillor Anstead, it's an invitation. Bonaparte Watershed Stewardship Society is holding a public event. Coming, what date is it? May
4th.
May 4th. So I would like to have this as an information item, and any council members who would like to attend, contact Mr. Midgley, Caribou Al, or Kayla Finestra, and indicate that you would like to attend. Councillor Dick,
if I
or
may.
CEO Dick?
If they
Councillor.
could if council could please let us know, because we have to pay for the attendance, and the registration is all online, so we would put it through the
Okay.
village.
So if you'd like to attend, then contact CAO Dick, and I would say by the end of this week. Thank you. All right, we have no reports, recommendations from committees of the whole, etc. Council reports. We have no need to move to a closed meeting.
We do have
We
a
do have
financial
under
statement from the
Resolutions released from closed meeting, and I will move that the audited 2023 audited financial statements be released to a regular meeting of council, or to this meeting of council,
to be approved.
to be approved. Well, we did approve them.
Your worship, you need to approve them in open meeting.
Oh, okay. That we release them to regular, to this meeting, and that they be approved. All right. Councillor Clement seconds that. Discussion on the audited financial statements. Awesome job. CFO Bella and Grant Thornton again. I hope they brought donuts. They usually do.
I didn't see any this time.
Uh-oh. What? Well, it's a good thing that Sean's already left, otherwise we'd have to have a word with him.
They did bring donuts when they came for the audit,
Okay, good.
No, they brought cookies.
or cookies.
I don't know, is that better or worse?
They were
They were
good
good
cookies.
Okay. Mr. Christie, you make good
Good cookies, better than Mr. Christie.
All right, so on the motion then to approve the audited financial statements for 2023, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.